Hi, I'm Janvi. I'm working on a multi-material installation called Remember to Forget a Pinch of Salt, which revives and reassembles conversations around maternal histories and food, because I feel when scrutinized, these common routines of sustenance and preservation hold vital subversions against capitalist patriarchy within them. And the work also responds to Jimmy Roberts' descriptions of, the slippages between object, image and materiality, and attempts to explore the ambivalent nature of memory in itself, where trigger and recall and remembrance and forgetfulness sort of coexists and coincides. This work also attempts to acknowledge the contributions of the female in the domestic and environmental contexts.
Hello, my name is Luke, and for the upcoming exhibition at Nottingham Contemporary, I intend to install one of my paintings from a newly discovered practice in painting. In my painting, and within my practice, I hope to find a language within abstract expressionism, using both painterly mediums and mark-making mediums. What typifies the style of the work is an overtone of minimalism and attentiveness to the immediacy of mark-making. The act of painting is very much a case of venting upon the substrate of canvas, using a range of mediums. The process is more instinctive and intuitive rather than pragmatic. It is indiscriminately expressive and orchestrates colours and line amidst the negative space of the canvas. The painting that I have chosen to exhibit for the exhibition acts as a forerunner. It signifies an advent in the practice of painting.
Hello, I'm Woo-Sun Choi. I'm an independent visual artist from South Korea. I specialize in oil painting, but like to experiment with installation and sculpture as well. My practice revolves around the externalization of personal emotions in various fictional characters that I assert are all a part of myself, radically taking the idea of self-portraiture beyond the self. Also, I'm interested in the challenge of harmonizing the internal and external space of the canvas. For the Aftermath exhibition, I call my work title is Flowing Movement, so I use 2D images to recreate an imaginary world, giving the canvas itself a sense of movement so that it can be seems as a three-dimensional. Reformation in my works simply means going beyond the viewer's point of view. I explore what happened, what is buried, and what remains in the gaps between the visual space. The words reshaping that I have created can either flatten or raise depending on the perspective.
Hi, my name is Klara Szafrańska and I'm a multimedia artist based in Nottingham. My practice explores metaphysical, social and political kitsch, especially the themes of broadly understood fetishes manifested in systems. I mainly work with sculpture, video and performance. In the Grace Before Jones exhibition, I was particularly interested with the works that documented the performance of life, the non-existent line between private and public, and the performative creation of Grace Jones's persona, or self-myth if you like. For the Aftermath exhibition, I made a piece called Fetish, or The Woman Who Made Her Own Statue, which essentially uses my previous research to explore statuary, the notions of self-myth, and creating new narratives for self as a political act. The work is very much process-led. It is a sculpture and a mockumentary in which the protagonist spells out her imagined character and narrative and questions how to acknowledge and legitimize it within a system. In the mockumentary, the protagonist explores and realizes the need of erecting a statue of herself. The video depicts her process, starting with immediate desires, moving to actions such as 3D scanning herself, building models, trying to occupy several public, domestic and virtual spaces, and finally erecting a statue of herself in Nottingham.
Hi, my name is Melissa Siriku and I am an Albanian sound artist based in Nottingham. My practice is solely focused in creating uncomfortable sonic environments, interrogating the ideology of social depressions, documentations of suppressed thoughts. I am working with invisible, taken themes of sadness from the human condition and situations involving great disappointments. When it comes to the exhibition Grace Before Jones, it's a massive influence for someone who struggles with the concept of identity. The Jamaican model, singer and songwriter, clothes are an essential part of who she is. Never seeming to shy away from the self-exposure, the exhibition prompts me to think about the way we perceive one another. The project is heavily rooted in the term of identity, a self-reflective process of who I am. It is important in our society. The word identity has a double meaning, referring to a social category and the sources of an individual's self-respect or dignity. My work in this show consists of snippets of sound recordings, a journal where I am professing my most inner struggles when it comes to myself, self-reflecting when it comes to the way I perceive myself.
Hi, my name is James Briggs. Aftermath this year responds to the Grace Jones exhibition and the Jimmy Roberts exhibition. My interest was the Grace Jones exhibition, the two rooms, the right site and the night site, and very much your response as a viewer journeying through the rooms. So you start off in the lobby foyer, this neutral room with a recording light, and as you enter the next room, you are absorbing Grace Jones's life, not her as a person, but as an icon. As you journey through the right site, you enter the night site. This is the dance floor, the on stage, the disco, where you are greeted by the garments that Grace Jones wore, ghost-like, draped over, and opposite is a film piece of runway models draping metal over their bodies. And this is very much how I've responded with Drape, as the exhibition is draped over you and you're becoming Grace Jones.